one of the things that I learned about turning 30 was that there's some requirements, some expectations that you may have for yourself and people may have for you. For example, turning 20 or 21, you are so young still. You have so much to do, so much to explore, so many mistakes to make. But at 30 and 31, it's like, okay, y'all, you've been around this corner. You went around this block several times. When are you going to stop doing this? Or when you going to get delivered? Or when you going to do this? Or when you going to be wise about your finances? That was for me. But we're not talking about just money. We're talking about aging and doing this thing the right way. And when I mean the right way, I'm saying not trying to go back and trying to repeat your 20s like you're having a quarter life crisis or a third life crisis, if that even exists. 30 is not the new 20, okay? Let's be clear. And let me repeat it again in case y'all didn't hear it in the back. 30 is not the new 20. I don't know where that came from. I had a blog published about it by one of my best friends. But at this age, I really can't say I agree with that. I think it's more of an improved 20s, but it's not a repeat of the 20s. And why would you want to repeat those years? Lord. Okay, so this episode, we're going to address some fears, perhaps some hesitations and some regrets that you may have about, getting older and what you may or may not have done in your 20s. It's time to let it go so we can grow. And when I say grow, I mean grow up. All right, this is Tatyana Greene, and you're listening to Journey Through 30. Even in the media, we see like people hesitate to mention like 30 being this wonderful milestone that you reach. It's always kind of presented to us like a deadline that we have to assess within ourselves. Some of us set deadlines for said age. Some people didn't. Some people saw their 20s as their prime decade of accomplishing all the wild dreams and fantasies that they wanted to accomplish in life, all the freedoms that they had, all the things that they wanted to do. And then they look at those years in the 20s and they think like, man, I really didn't do as much as I wanted to do, or I wish I could have done this. And if I was 20 something again. And so we look back to the past as if that's something that we're supposed to just look at and be like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do this. No. I'm telling you right now, you do not want to repeat the past. And I can say that from experience. I'm telling you that one of the reasons why I wrote Journey to 30 is because I made a lot of mistakes in my 20s. I did a lot of things I wasn't necessarily happy about, and maybe even regret it, but I don't want to say that I would repeat my 20s and my 30s or try to claim that 30 is the new 20. Now, let's just say that 30 is 30 and let 20s be 20s. Because 30s is really like 20s with more wisdom. And I don't want to go through another decade not making wise decisions. Because if I had the wisdom and revelation knowledge that I have now back then, I definitely would not be in the relationships that I was in. I'd definitely be a lot wiser with my spending habits. I would have more money. I would definitely be more involved in purpose and not just pursuing just any old little thing. I don't even know if I would have went back to grad school. But I think everything has a purpose, and everything that we do, the things that we didn't get to do, the things that we did do, whether they're good or bad, they all work together for our good. And that's what the Bible says in Romans 8:28. We all know that scripture. Where God uses every mistake, every missed opportunity as a lesson that we have to take with us into the next year or even the next decade. So we have those wounds from the past, those bruises when we bumped our heads several times doing the same thing, thinking we were going to change or thinking the situation was going to change. Those became wounds of wisdom that we can apply to our later years or later decades, and even, yes, in our wonderful 30s. So we can see that we have so much to look forward to and to share with other people. And that's why I wanted to write Journey to 30, in part because I want to give back some wisdom to women who were younger than me so they won't make the same mistakes that I made when I was their age. Now, a lot of people may say that they want to go back and relive their 20s, or they missed out because they didn't get to do everything that they wanted to do. I understand that. I didn't get to do everything I wanted to do in my 20s either, but I think that's one of the reasons why people want to claim that 30 is the new 20. It's because they want to get that shot again at life at this age where they just feel like they're younger and freer or more agile. But the reality is we're not as free and as young and as agile as we were in our 20s. And that's okay. Now, there's a real issue out here called Peter Pan syndrome that has affected our generation. A lot of millennials have a sincere hesitation and fear about getting older. They just don't want to grow up. They just refuse to grow up. Amen, ladies. So we face a lot of that with the men that we see in our groups, either in our churches or at our jobs or even in the community around us. A lot of them have this Peter Pan syndrome where they either want to be taken care of by a woman, which is totally backwards nowadays anyway, or they simply just don't want to man up and be the man that maybe they never saw in their lives. That's kind of rough. And I feel like sometimes we have to address that with a little bit of grace. But at the same time, it's like, well, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to stop running away from responsibility? When are you going to stop running away from the fact that you need to mature and own up to some things? So I want you to think about, why do you want to remain in that place? Why do you want to go back to your 20s? Why do you want to relive 21 again, or 24 again, or 25 again, or even 28 again? Were things simpler for you? Were things less dramatic? Were you less cares in the world? Did you not have to have so much on your plate as you do now? I don't know what your reason is, but if you have a genuine fear of getting older, I gotta tell you, you're missing out on a very important gift that you have, that you and I have. If you have the ability to listen to my voice right now, you have the amazing gift of life. And to tell God with your mind and your fear that you don't want to get older, you don't want to progress another day, you don't want to get better, you don't want to become more like Him, you don't want to be perfected, you don't want to go through this process, you just want to be in that cocoon of security and safety called that yesteryear or yesterdecade. Don't do that to yourself, guys. Gotta let that fear go. Because you know what? You're going to get older, and that's a blessing. Even in the Bible, it talks about gray hairs being a blessing, being crowned for the aged. It's a good look for us if we do it right. If we decide to own up to our mistakes, if we decide to grieve our past mistakes, if we decide to, forgive ourselves for anything that we did to harm others or harm ourselves or put ourselves in situations that led to results that disappointed us. We got to forgive. We got to let those things go and not try to look at 30s as a restart to 20. It's a new mysterious decade, as I say in the book, that is worth discovering. And it's worth seeing the new thing that God is doing on the inside of us. Now, I'll say, for example, that I had some hesitation about getting older because I had an insecurity of not having it all together. I had a pattern of going to school since I was in elementary school, basically. Every August, I would be ready to go back to school. So when it came time for me to graduate from graduate school a few years ago, I was really hesitant about what was going to happen next. I was kind of anxious actually because I had no safety net of what was going to happen in August. I didn't have to go back to school. I was done. So if I didn't have to go back to school, what was I going to do? I was just going to work every day. I wasn't going to have school breaks anymore. I wasn't going to have spring break or summer break. I didn't have that comfort zone of security that I was dealing with for the past 18 something years. But I'm telling you, some of us have a comfort zone, and that we settled that comfort zone in our 20s. And once we reached 30 and over, we kind of got this sense of, wow, we're old. Wow, we didn't do everything we wanted to do. We don't know what we're doing right now. Let's go back to the 20s where everything was just where it needed to be and where we were in a good place. Like, I understand. I definitely understand where you're coming from. That safety net of having something to look forward to, that safety net of relying on the pattern that you are used to dealing with, those are comfort zones, and those are also places that will limit you. Your 20s are not your best years. Well, most of us are not going to have our best years in our 20s because we're bumping our heads, we're making a lot of mistakes, we're doing a lot of stuff because we're trying to figure it out. And I'll be honest with you, so far 30 seems like it's a lot of figuring stuff out too, but with more purpose, with more intention, with more wisdom. I'm telling you, I learned so much in my 30s. I even included a whole episode about that so far. And I am loving it because I can't see what life would have been like if I tried to do this thing called 20s all over again with the same mindset that I had back then. It's just, God, no. To be honest with you, I didn't achieve all my goals in my 20s. But I have to see that there's purpose in that. There's a reason why things didn't work out the way I wanted them to in my 20s. There's a reason why I didn't meet my certain goals and deadlines in life that I set for myself in my 20s. One of the biggest examples is I wanted to be married at 25 and be done having kids at age 30. And when I got to age 25, I had no prospects, no boyfriend, no kids. And I was just like, whoa, what am I going to do? So I just waited to like the next year, 26, 27, 28, 29. Then I'm working on this book that God gave me, Journey to 30. And it changed my perspective on this whole deadline thing and wanted to be something that I was creating for myself. I didn't achieve the goal that I wanted to in my 20s. I wanted to be married. I turned 30. I had no man. I had no boyfriend. I was single as a dollar bill, honey. But I can tell you right now that being married by a certain age is not the end all be all. I am still alive. I still have potential. I still have value. I still have worth. I still have purpose. God gave me purpose instead of giving me what I wanted with my own will and my own timing. He gave me this beautiful book, Journey to 30, to bring hope and purpose to my life and to the lives of those who read it. Because it's a living testimony that just because things didn't work out the way you wanted them to at your 20s or whatever decade that you want to have it in, that doesn't mean that your life is over. That doesn't mean you're a mistake or you're a failure. God has purpose for your life and you're going to be okay. And that was his assurance for me. Because I was definitely considering, well, what do I do from here? I didn't meet my deadline. I didn't meet my goals. So what am I going to do? God gave me purpose. He revealed to me what I needed to do. He gave me a new perspective. And at 31, unmarried, not a mother, at this point in my life, I'm okay. I'm okay. I don't want to go back in my 20s or try to get back with an ex and try to make things work so I can reach my goal by 35, right? I don't even have a goal by 35 regarding relationships. I think God is going to give it to me when I'm ready for it and when He deems that my husband's ready for it. But I can't put a deadline on it anymore because that'll keep me so distracted from focusing on what I need to do in this year, in this decade, in this season of my life. And I encourage you to do the same. If you need to lay some plans down, if you need to put your vision board before the Lord, if you need to put your planner at the feet of Jesus, if you need to put your plans and submit them to God, trust me, the word is true when it says submit your plans unto the Lord and you shall succeed. That's in Proverbs. Don't get it twisted. God's word is true and He will not fail you. He will meet you where you're located and He'll give you understanding. He'll give you comfort. He'll help you grieve those things that you didn't get to do. He'll give you a new, fresh perspective. He will renew your mind. He will give you a new zeal. He will give you a new purpose. Don't be discouraged, you guys. We're going to make it through this thing. And that's why I say that 30 is not the new 20. Because I don't want to repeat those same things I had to go through, those hard lessons I had to learn, those mistakes that I made, those exes that I had to deal with. For real though. But anyway, I want you to know that you're going to be okay too. So whatever it is that you may be looking back and man, if I could only, be grateful for today. Be grateful for your decade that you're in right now. Be grateful for your season because God has something for you. He has a plan, a hope, a purpose for you, and you're going to be all right. Okay, so I want you to get inspired even more so beyond this podcast, this episode. I want you to get your copy of Journey to 30. It is available now on Amazon and on Kindle. Just go to journeyto30book.com and get your copy there. People are talking about it. I've talked to women and men who read the book and it met them where they are in some places. We talk about spirituality. We talk about self-care. We talk about your health. We talk about your finances. We talk about the seasons of marriage and motherhood. Since this is a book dedicated to women, I want to make sure that we understand where we are in this season is not predicated on what God is going to do for us. Just because you're single now in your 30s doesn't mean that's going to be the whole journey of your decade. That could change in an instant. That can change tomorrow. So don't worry about those things. Don't be discouraged. God's got you. And that's why you should definitely get the book. And if you have it already, get it for a friend so they can see that they're going to be okay too. And if you are in the area in Chicago, you can meet me and get your signed copy of the Journey to 30 book at the Open Books bookstore. This is for the November Media. It's always November meet and greet event on November 18th. November Media is my publisher, and they're having a meet and greet with several authors from the publishing company, and we're going to be reading from their books and selling them and meeting people, and it's going to be amazing. So if you're in Chicago, definitely come down. I'm putting the link to the event in the description below. All right, if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Again, I am your host, Tatyana Greene, author of Journey to 30, A Single Woman's Guide to Living Unapologetically Without Deadlines, and also your host for Journey Through 30. All right, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I really appreciate it if you do. All right, I will talk to you all later. Bye.